What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Montana Method Podcast. One more time, as always, your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., author of Montana Method. Very, very happy to be here with a very special guest. Mr. Bishop is in the building. We're going to talk about some really, really cool stuff. He's a VIP concierge to some super wealthy people. He's been around the 1% for a really long time. We're going to talk about different things they do, their habits, what they're like, who they like to be around, the things they like to do, all the things that you probably can't hear anywhere else. So stay tuned for the episode.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from.
Mr. Bishop, welcome to the show.
How are you, sir?
Good to see you, man.
You too, man. I'm actually kind of jealous, man. I need an intro like that.
Took some work.
I see that.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
So, my brother, I'm excited to have this interview and this conversation with you because you're a special kind of guy. You hang around the most successful of the most successful people in society. You get to be around them, see how they operate, their habits, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, the kind of people they associate with. Like, there's so many different ways we can take this conversation.
Yeah,
you know,
facts.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So let's start with this. Give me a little background on how'd you even get into that business? What opportunity popped up to get you into that kind of field? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm originally from New York.
Okay.
Came here in 2009. Went to FIU from
You're a pre-pandemic New Yorker.
I'm no, listen, I've been here for 15 years.
So you're a Floridian now.
Yes, I am not a New York transplant. Let's put it that way. I'm not at all. Heck no. But yes, I've been here for about 15 years. I came to FIU for 2009.
Okay.
I actually started out as a videographer and photographer at FIU, and
Wow.
I did fraternity. I did shoots for fraternity, sororities, Department of Health, Education, Law, Nursing, Business, etc. And then after that, I needed a job because, you know, I wasn't really necessarily making ends meet, like, you know, with my photo and video services.
Of course.
It was cool, but it really wasn't, like, you know, that good enough, whatever. And it was like a pull because I actually wanted to be like more of a man too, because I kind of wanted to like really, really stand on my own.
Right.
Because like my aunt that raised me in New York, she was the one that was kind of like still supporting me.
Right.
So I actually got her to cut me off. So usually, you know, when you kind of like mess up or whatever, usually like the parents or like the guardians, they cut you off.
Right.
But I told her, I was like, listen, 22, 23 years old. I want to be on my own feet. I want to be my own man. I need you to cut me off. Now, Caribbean parents are like not like that whatsoever. Like they want to be able to like actually have a full control. So like you telling them that as far as like not supporting you anymore is kind of like very unorthodox. So that happened. And then I was like, okay, well, I need a job. So, you know, I'm always a prepper person. I always like to build planes in the air. So during, what is that? Like, I think, was it, no, well, MySpace was around, I think, but I was like, Facebook Messenger was like really popping and everything. So I hit up my guy, Jonathan Menacall, which is he wasn't a fraternity brother of mine, but he was a fraternity colleague. So like he was a part of another fraternity, and he was actually one of the head like security guards for Miami Marketing Group that ran Live back in the day. And I told him, I was like, hey, listen, man, you know, I need a job. I need to be able to try to make ends meet. You know, do you have anything for me? I know you work at Live. Like, can I work at Live? He's like, look, I don't have a job at Live for you, but there's a sister club that's actually opening up a few days from now. Cause this is like, I think like maybe like almost December.
Okay.
And then December 26th, Story Miami nightclub was actually opening up.
All right.
So I did that. And on Christmas Day, I remember this. He's like, listen, go to Christmas Day. You need to talk to these two people, Patrick Fleming, which is the head of security, and then Jay Pink, which is the assistant head of security. And he's like, talk to them, you know, see what they say. And number one thing, do not embarrass me. You know, because I'm really putting you on, because like working at a prestigious club like that, of a sister club of like one of the biggest clubs in the world,
Right.
like people, no matter what, like you kind of need to like kind of start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like literally like working at Story, as far as like me that like didn't necessarily work security at all. Or work at any clubs. I probably worked at Space maybe one time, that's it. And I worked there for like 14 hours and I was done. I was like, yo, this is like the craziest thing in the world. And that's like literally going from like AAU to the NBA.
That's wild. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like not even going to college. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like
straight
like
out
you,
of high school.
Literally. And like you don't really have a track record. But because I was 6'11", and also at that time I think I was 380, 390 plus, they gave me a shot. And then afterwards, I was supposed to actually work at a dance floor. You've been to Story before, right? So you know how they have the dance floor, and then like over there they have like the DJ booth. And you know, when you go in and you have the stairs behind you, you have the whole entire dance floor. So I was supposed to work at the dance floor, but because I did not have a jacket at the time, I couldn't work on the dance floor. So they actually put me in a DJ booth, which was a big blessing in disguise, because me working at the DJ booth was actually me getting to like in proximity with like the top elite people.
Right.
Like we're talking about David Grutman, Jojo Lohoud, Rob Garcia, Chris O'Damo, Chris Pacello, you know, that owned it because he opened it with David Grutman.
Right.
And then I, you know, met so many people as far as like Paris Hilton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tyson Beckford.
The elite of
Yeah, you know, Elliot Ross's Tracy Ross's grandson, which is Elliot Ross, met him. So many like prominent, like elite people, and so many DJs as well too. That I was like, wow, okay, like, you know, me not having my jacket actually gave me this blessing. So, you know, 6, you know, maybe, and that got me really close to like, you know, somewhat kind of like, I guess, cordial, and also like, you know, at a speaking terms with David, but like more so like really cool with Chris. Like Chris Pacello, like I got his number, I can call him whenever. Like he's like a really dope person, and like, you know, he's not a person where, you know, he, like you speak when spoken to, if that makes sense, in that realm, you know what I'm saying? But like he definitely, you know, warmed up to me, and that got me to like meet up everybody, and, you know, got my face out there. 6-7 months later, I couldn't play the game anymore. I had to get a jacket. So I worked at the dance floor. And then after that, on one Sunday, I ran into this guy named Troy Gibson that I took care of him at like one of the dance floor tables.
Okay.
And Troy Gibson, he's from Atlanta, and I took care of him and his boy Dan Colorado. And then after that, I took him to his car, and then, you know, I didn't get his number or anything. Like usually I do try to connect with people as far as like, 'cause I got a lot of contacts from like those wealthy, you know, like the people from working that story, just like connecting with them. But that person in particular, I just didn't for some odd reason. And I just so happened to go to 11. So, you know, all roads lead to 11, you know, this is how it is. You know what I'm saying? So I went there and I actually saw him.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, listen, aren't you Troy? Like, you know, didn't I take care of you? And he's like, yeah, I did take care of you. So we were talking for maybe like a couple minutes, and he was like, man, you know, now that I think about it, man, like you can be my bodyguard. And I was like, nah, I hear that all the time.
Right.
All the time I hear that, right? And I was like, bro, I'll work for you right now. Like, what's up? Like, I'll do this right now. Like, you know, what's good? So he literally went in his pocket, pulled out $500, gave it to me, and then the rest was history. Went to friggin' Vegas with him for like 20 times, went to Louisiana, been to Atlanta with him, you know, for his birthday, taking care of him.
That's awesome.
And then after that, it got to a point where I was just doing bodyguard services for him and for a plethora of clients for a long time. And then about maybe a couple of years after that, we're probably talking maybe like 2016, 17-ish, I was at a dinner party with one of my clients that I was taking care of. I was just doing bodyguard service, and, you know, we were talking, and we were like, hey, listen, bro, like, you know, Marvel, because at the time I was just calling myself Marvel, you know, that's my first name.
Right.
It's like, Marvel, man, you know, like, you're such a, you know, personable person. Like, you know, people like, you know, magnetize towards you. You know, you have a vernacular about yourself, like you're big as heck as well too. So it's like, you know, you being big and be able to talk, that doesn't really happen. He was like, yo, like, have you ever thought of like opening up like your own concierge service? And I was like, what is that? What is that? Like, what's a concierge service? Because back then when I was working at Story, like I didn't really know about that. I just knew about promoters,
right.
You know,
and the club and the bouncing.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know there was like a private industry within hospitality of concierge.
Right.
And he's like, nah, man, yeah, like what you do is like, you know, you are basically like the orchestrator and like, you know, the delegator of your company, and you provide like an encompassing experience for all your clients, the bodyguard, not just the bodyguarding, but also the transportation,
Right.
the VIP access, the logistics, the reservations, like curating this whole entire
The whole
vibe
thing,
for him,
yeah.
you know? I fell back. I was like, I'm gonna try it. And then after that, then like, there's all like a lot of trials and tribulations from like literally trying to like brand myself from like a security guard / bodyguard
To a concierge.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was like very hard.
I can
So,
imagine.
Yeah, it was.
You're known as basically the guy who's like stopping people from taking pictures
Yeah,
with me to like
yeah.
now the guy that's gonna hook me up with everything. It's
it's
a hard transition.
Yeah, it is because everybody when they used to see me, like they will always be like, "Oh yeah, Marvel, the bodyguard," and I was like, "Bro, I'm not a bodyguard. I'm a, now
concierge.
security is my standpoint. Like security is my foundation. Like I always have like a security mindset, but like elevating to a concierge host now, it's definitely more of a different type of like
Experience. Right.
and a different type of approach that I need to have.
Right.
I need to be a little bit more friendlier. I need to be the guy with the vibes and everything
Right,
else too.
right.
But when it's time to answer that call, no matter what, even if I'm a concierge host or not, I'll still be able to handle my business.
Right.
So being able to like really, really work on those both ends and having both the best worlds has really kind of like, put me in this unique position that people just love to, hire me and get that, feel and experience.
And having been worked in security first, I think that actually gives you a good base to make sure that they're safe at all times, right? Like make sure.
Yeah, man. That's actually a really good point that you say that because with me, it's with being that's actually a really good point. So me being a concierge host right now is like, yes, I want them to have fun, but my overall mission before anything is like it's the safety part. So like, like we have 8 bodyguards that work with us, like all of them are trained, tactical and everything else too. But even with me, I'm like definitely providing them the experience, getting them the atmosphere models and everything else too, going to clubs, whatever. But like me being able to have like 360 type of approach of like, making sure this guy is not necessarily too close. It just gives them that extra touch of service, if that makes sense.
That does.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But at the same time too, me delegating right now, I actually have to make sure that I stay in my lane.
Right.
Because it's a balance, man, because it's like I have the foundation of security, but like I don't want them to think that they can just literally just pay me for both and then be able to get a deal.
I get you.
Like that's why with our executive guards, we actually have something that's called dedicated executive guard. Like I'm a dedicated concierge host, this is my focus of me making sure you have a good time and planning everything and having all the logistics. And then we have a dedicated the guy who I actually just speaking to, he's actually my partner, Trey Grant. He's my partner and my director of security. Shout out to you, Trey. He can be a knucklehead sometimes. But still love him to death. But it's always like, okay, let me put this guy in position to only handle security, because then after that, it shows a client that like you're not just hiring me for just a one job, you're hiring the company for the overall approach. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So,
man, it's such an interesting thing. Like, just a very fascinating, because most people don't have no clue what that world is even like.
No.
And it's your world 24/7.
Yes, sir.
So you're literally in the opposite spectrum of a normal person. You're literally like, this person is like 9 to 5, wake up, go to work, fight traffic, come back, fight traffic again. If you're lucky, you'll get 5 minutes with your family, go to sleep, and go to work tomorrow. With you, it's like, no, I'm exposed to the most insane, like, over-the-top, luxurious experiences you can imagine.
Yeah.
And being in Miami, I can imagine that that's like just, you know what I mean? Like on another level.
Because here's the thing, like people living in Miami, regardless, no matter what you do, like we're in a bubble, regardless. I don't care what job you have, 9 to 5, janitor, whatever. Like you're exposed to these
people at some
anyway.
point.
At some point you are.
Yeah,
You have proximity to these people.
Correct. Yeah.
Especially if you go to bars and lounges, or live like
run into them at the barbershop.
Listen, exactly. Because people like listen. I met, which I'll tell you who I met after this, but like I met one of who's actually my clients, like one of the biggest founders of a VC company in the world.
Okay.
And I met him at a bar. Like this dude is like like has access to like trillions of dollars, and this dude is just like chilling here. So what I'm saying is that like there is a bubble in Miami, but then there's a bubble in a bubble.
Right.
And in the bubble, within the bubble, how you can get access to that is depending on what you do for a living.
Right.
And I do think that the gateway for that, especially, is hospitality and nightlife.
Right. No, 100%, because that's what they come to Miami for, right? They're coming here to have a good time, have a vacation. So I equate it to, like, I guess in LA, the chances of like bumping into a movie star, that's the chances of bumping into a rich person and like a super successful person.
That's very true. Yeah, 'cause I've never been to LA, but I've heard that. Like you can see
at like Starbucks,
Leonardo DiCaprio just chilling at, or Justin Bieber chilling at Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed, you don't really see that here in Miami.
Exactly.
But you see a whole bunch of wealthy people just chilling.
Business people.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of hedge fund guys, because Boca now is like, you know, that whole financial district.
Oh, really? Boca?
Yeah,
Boca Raton?
Yeah, Boca.
Really?
There's a lot of stockbrokers, a lot of stock.
I gotta start frequenting in Boca then.
Brokerages. Boca. Yeah.
Okay.
Boca's,
You gotta let me know where to go, man.
All right.
I'm the king of Miami, man. You know what I'm saying? Or I guess I won't say the king. There's only one king of Miami, and that's David Grutman. But
fair enough.
I'm definitely like, you know, like a person that is not the worst person to know in Miami. But anywhere else, like, you know, like Florida, I'm starting to get my foot in, but like West Palm, Boca, I need to learn. Please. Yeah.
You know what I love about Boca? It's one huge city filled with like nothing but like wealthy neighborhoods.
Really?
Yeah, Boca. There's no bad neighborhoods in Boca. None. Zero. And there's a lot of people that come from up north. So as you know, things are much more expensive in New York and those kinds of places. So they go to Boca, they buy these big houses, and they have a lot, because the money is different.
Meat Market is in Boca, right? Okay, now I heard Meat Market is a world of its own.
I've never been, but I know it's there.
I've heard it's crazy. I heard the women there are just beautiful and nice, and just you literally have this wealthy people just walking around all the time.
One of my favorite areas in Boca is called Meisner Park.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Crazy.
You gotta go there. Yeah, it's like.
Let me know what time of day, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm there. Yeah, we can both go. I'm down. Yeah.
I went to the amphitheater in Meisner Park a couple years ago.
Okay.
Because I sponsored the event there, and I had a booth, bro. It was so cool. You had like Method Man, Redman, Coolio before he died. Rest in peace, Coolio.
Rest in peace. Damn, I forgot he died.
Yeah, he died recently. Black Sheep. It was like a plethora of super cool 90s hip hop artists. They all putting on this big concert. And it was nothing but white people. I loved it. It was like nothing but white people at a hip hop concert. I was like, yo, this is awesome.
That's interesting. Because you don't see that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't see that.
Because in Boca, it's nothing but like Caucasian older people with money. So it was funny. Like it's like this super cool hip hop concert. It's like nothing but white people. It's funny. And then, like I said, a lot of them come from up north. So, and they tend to be like in a certain age range. Like, for example, 2 nights ago, I was in Boca, and I got invited to this Frank Sinatra tribute at this place called the Black Box. There was nothing but Italians there. You've never seen so many Italians in Florida. I swear.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know there was that many Italians in Boca. That's crazy. So, and then I also found this out. In Pompano Beach, you know The Sopranos? Paulie Walnuts, you remember that guy?
Of course.
He actually was a restaurant owner. And he owned one of the restaurants in Pompano.
Oh, wow.
And Pompano is known for being an Italian, well, a certain part of Pompano, for like being an Italian neighborhood.
Okay.
And they have like the best Italian restaurants. I found that out when I went up to Boca the other day.
I need to get out of my Miami bubble. I really do. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just South Florida in general. You know what I mean? Like it's known for being, even back in the day. Yeah, I mean, you've seen the mobster movies. I gotta go down to Florida. You know, like
exactly.
Always
yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was Godfather, Sopranos, whatever. I gotta go down to Florida, take care of something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's always been a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the weather, but it's so many other things. Just Florida's just a magnet for like the best people from everywhere. You know.
Absolutely.
And now it's become more evident than ever, right? And especially Miami. Everybody's moving here. You know what I mean?
No,
so
definitely.
Brings up another question I've been meaning to ask. So what do you see, like, compared 2019 to today? What do you see differences in your industry?
2009. When I first moved
No,
here?
I'm saying pre-pandemic.
Oh, pre-pandemic?
Like 2019 to 2024, what do you see? Like, what are some major in-your-face differences that are like, all right, this never happened before?
Everybody and their mama is opening up a restaurant here.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
coming from out of town and like opening a restaurant, or like people that live here?
Just people in both, I think.
Okay.
That's one.
Interesting.
Number 2, I would say this. And I think it's going to change because the market is going to, I think it's going to boom in 2025.
Okay.
And then we're going to get back into 2008, 2009 days where like people are just going to be spending money like it's nothing.
Okay.
I would say this, the amount of people are not necessarily spending as much, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like the amount of people, like there's like a more condensed people that spend more.
But there's less people spending is what you're
There's
saying.
less people spending, but there's still a concentrated number of people who's spending a crap ton of money.
So like this small group of people is probably spending more than this group of people, but it's just more. All right.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes. It's a condensed, like kind of focus group right now.
And that kind of makes sense to me because one of two things happened for people during the pandemic. Either you got mega rich or you didn't.
Yeah, no facts. I actually, it's funny because I think for me, what happened was it actually got me to double down more on my concierge because I had my concierge, but then also I had my commercial security company.
Okay.
So I actually had like 10 or about maybe 15 contracts in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Shouts to Savannah and Alan Drummond, the owners of Koyo and also like 100 Lucky.
Dope.
I had like 60 people working for me for my commercial security company.
Nice.
And then all the American socials, had a couple government buildings as well.
Wow. Okay.
And one commercial property. And then after that, with the pandemic, it's just, hey, we need to cut back and we can't have security because we can't afford it. And that's honestly what changed everything. And it's like, that's when I really got out of, I guess, security almost entirely, other than providing, bodyguard service, but more on a personal level. So that's what really changed for me. You know what I'm saying? So I did not get rich in the pandemic. I did not. However, I definitely got more focused.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it did for most people, right? Priorities changed.
Yes. Priority changed. You're able to really dial in your strengths, also like, dish off your weaknesses. And it really got me to a point of like focusing on what works and really doubling down on that and really putting that 10, 20, 30,000 hours to be able to feed into other assets or feed
100%.
into other things that can actually make you money.
100%.
Because for me, what I was doing, and I've actually learned this, like this is my second year where I'm like really focusing on my concierge and other things that's kind of feeding it, but not like doing like other things that like is not really like applicable.
Right.
Like when you do, they say this whole thing about like, oh, you have 7 streams of income. It's true, but there's a caveat. So the caveat is that you have to be able to really focus and put your energy in one thing, build it up, and then the water fills up the other cups. You don't get 4 or 5 or 7 or 6 or 7 cups and try to pour water in each cup. See if it works. It does not work, bro, at all.
I'm a big proponent of focus.
Bro.
You gotta focus, man. It's not about, oh yeah, 7 streams of income. Let me do 80 different things. Let me start a social media company. Let me get into, I'm gonna create content, start a podcast. Oh, I'm gonna open a restaurant. Oh, I'm gonna start making like, no, it's too much. Yeah. And I've seen people dive into 7. Oh, let me start a marketing business. And it's like, yo, whoa, pony, slow down. It's like, what are you good at?
Yeah.
Oh, you're good. You're good at the meat business. Yeah. Focus on that. That'll make more money, and then you diversify. Like, it takes so much energy to make a business work that I just don't understand how someone could be like, oh, I need to do more things. No. You need to do more of that thing. You need to focus, zero in, because you have to give it all your energy to make it work. I mean, you're a business owner. You know what I'm talking about. In entrepreneurship, if you're not giving 100%, it's not going to work. Yeah. It has to have your undivided attention. If you're going to work 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day, it has to be nothing but that thing. You have to focus on that thing. Forget the phone for a second, the emails, the other people, all that stuff. Block all that out, and you got to get to work. This doing 1 hour, let me dedicate 1 hour to this email business. Let me dedicate the second hour to, I just started a social media agency. No. It's never going to work.
So I actually had a media company, and I shut it down because it was just too much, man.
No, and I can imagine that your clients are pretty demanding, and that's like a super. That's something.
Here's the thing. It's I'm always working on my business, and I'm always taking care of clients, but with the type of people who I work with, it's not necessarily like hundreds of clients throughout the month and all that. It's literally 4 or 5 clients a month, right? really, really focusing and like giving them a quality of service and be able to knock it out of the park and then definitely get that premium money. But then throughout the whole entire month, it's just literally just, the things that happen behind the curtains as far as like the prep, the meetings, the content, providing value,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that's a good thing as far as like, serving in 1% for me is that, I don't really care about, like we serve probably about maybe like anywhere between 50 to 75 clients a year.
Okay.
I'm cool with just having that. I want to have more, but I want to have more quality clients than like if I can have 30 clients a year and they're like literally coming in, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every single time they come here, and I'm only taking about maybe 3 or 4 clients, like I said, a month. I'm cool. I'm fine. We also do have like a business corporate network as well too, where we try to provide value in different ways. And I don't know if I'm kind of segueing, maybe it's a little bit too much, like too quick for you, but like, let me know because this is your show. But
go for it.
But with me, like one of the ways to really, really like connect with the 1% and the elites is to really think outside the box and see how you can do the work and then also show the value with the research that you're doing. So for instance, like if I have a client who is in medical sales, right? Medical tech sales. He spends money with me already. Let's just say that, like, I take him to, maybe Live or 11 or Vendome or anywhere, restaurants, whatever, right? I not only try to get them to, obviously, for me to provide that service, but I also want to upgrade their quality of life. So if I'm able to like, present them investors or present them maybe a business opportunity to invest in something else,
right? Or
capital, whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what really separates me from everybody else. Because it's like, it's not like, hey man, let me host you real quick. Hey, spend this money. No. Like I'm also in the game of not only
a connector of people,
like the ultimate connector, like, being a walking icebreaker, being able to like introduce them to people to help grow their network, to grow their, their net worth, like their circle. And then once they see that, is like, yo, like, you know what? I really, really appreciate Bishop because, he not only provides me experience, but he helps me upgrade, my quality of life.
Exactly. No, and that's actually something I pride myself in. I love being a connector of people. Over my life, my young 31 years of being on this planet, I've met an insane amount of people. And what I love about having lived such a diverse life and doing so many different things is that I can connect these people now. Like, that's why a podcast made so much sense for me specifically, because it's like, man, how many people have you met throughout your life? How many people do you know? Like, even you, like, so many people that do so many different things, and being able to connect those people, and then even like when you're able to bless somebody and give them a business opportunity, and that came be through you, there's no better karma than that. You know what I mean? Like the karmic cycle, it just, I'm a big believer in karma. Whatever you put out, you get back. So I always try to make sure I put something good out, so I guess something go back.
I think karma is really good, but it needs to be, I guess, some affidavits, next to it, because karma is very good up until you just do it. You're just trying to just do the karma karma's good until you just want to try to get the karma back for no reason, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just doing it just to get great karma, then like karma's not going to get to you. You have to have some type of like, intention, and it's just like, some genuine, force behind it. Where, Chase Jarvis was a rock star photographer in Seattle. He says, just give and expect nothing in return, because that's just honestly just how like the world works, where you can actually be open enough to actually receive those blessings. 100%. But if you try to give those blessings just to receive, that's not how the universe works.
100%. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. I think most people give with the intention of receiving.
All of them do. And that's why most of them fail. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Because if you just do for the sake of doing, and like, yo, don't expect anything in return, that's most of the time when you get it. Yeah, I've been that kind of guy. Like, I've done good things and for random things for people, and good has come back to me just because. And I wasn't even expecting anything. I was like, man, this guy has a flat tire. Let me help him out. I've been in that situation, and then Lo and behold, 2 years later, that guy calls me. He's like, "Hey man, listen, this is a real story. I was leaving the hospital visiting my grandfather. This guy had a flat tire. I stopped. I helped him. 2 years later, he got my number, whatever. 2 years later, he calls me, and he referred me 10 clients. 10. And he said, listen, man.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I remember you're in this business. I literally have 10 people. I have employees. Like, I work at a company. I'm going to pay for all their services. So just tell me what day to show up. I'm going to show up with them. I have, like, a work event, and we took care of everybody. It's crazy how the smallest things can have, like, the biggest impacts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we were talking about being on time, right, before we started the podcast. I've learned that if you're not good at the small things, you're never going to be good at the big things.
Yeah. And
ever.
And also, too, it's everything, like energy creates energy.
100%.
And good energy creates good energy. And then bad energy can also create bad energy.
100%.
But also, good energy can actually outweigh and dissipate bad energy.
Bad energy, yep.
But unfortunately, it's like if you just worry about putting out the good energy, you have to worry about the bad energy. So what I'm saying is that what happens is that, let's just say this. I come in 20 minutes late, 12:20. We already off with a bad start. We always like, damn, 100%. This guy, man, over here, and the vibe is not there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just wanted to get over it because you're pissed off because you told me from beforehand to get here at 11:45.
Yeah.
And then, like, I didn't get here at 12. I didn't get here at 12:10. I got here at 12:20.
Yeah.
Like, dog, what? And then we're probably not going to start until, like, maybe 12:45.
Yeah.
And the whole thing
just gets thrown off.
Completely thrown off.
Yep.
Once you do something is how you do everything.
100%, bro. I live by that shit.
And I have learned that time and time again. Like I told you before, this thing, this live, man, is that like I hate being late, bro.
Yeah,
like it's
bro.
like I try my darndest to always be on time. You know what I'm saying? As they always say, man, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired.
Yes. No, 100%.
Yeah.
And if something as simple as showing up on time is too much for you, don't ever expect to be good at anything else. You can't. It's impossible. And going back to your point.
Yeah.
The worst thing from my and I had this thought one day when I was like, man, this is a good thought. The worst thing you can do is waste someone's time.
Bro, it's
the worst thing. You can waste my money. Ooh. You can break my material possessions. Yep. You can crash my car.
Yeah. You can maybe even, maybe break a finger or whatever. It can
Bro,
but if you waste I can't get it back.
I can't get it back. You're literally wasting the only thing that person will never get back, ever. And guess what? Now you're saying my time is more important than yours because I don't care about your schedule. I'm going to show up when I feel like it. And if you have to cancel some stuff or you have to figure something out later, that's your problem. That's literally what you're telling the person when you're showing up late. Literally. People who show up late, like I have friends who can't show up on time. They're incapable,
impossible.
right?
Yeah, they're incapable. Which I don't understand anyway. Like, continue. I don't know. We're kind of like going. like,
listen, I'll tell you this. A while back, we don't see each other. We're still friends. We message. He's like, man, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I'm incapable of being late. And I told him
on time.
I told him, or I'm incapable of being on time.
Yeah.
And I told him, listen, I'm gonna tell you what Jim Rohn told me. All right. I don't know. Like, I don't know why those kind of things happen to you. All I know is they only happen to people like you. So figure it out. Like,
yeah,
you're incapable of being on time. So there's something, you're off. You're not in alignment. You are like manifesting having a chaotic day, being late, people being pissed off. There's like this chaotic energy somewhere in there that you need to fix.
Yeah.
And once you fix that, maybe it's a disempowering belief for someone. I don't know.
There's only one time that you should be late. You know what's that time? At events. If you're not necessarily like, if you're not like the host or you're not like a panelist or whatever. So as far as like showing off, like, I guess maybe some different demeanor or power, it's like being on time on those can be looked at as low status. That's one thing I kind of want to say. Like, when it comes to events and all that, like, did I see you at Anthony Mendes' last event? Were you there?
No, I was not.
Okay, yeah. I was half an hour late, but I did it on purpose because it's like, it's just a psychology thing. But when it comes to actually when you're meeting somebody, bro, when you're having a podcast, when you're having a presentation or whatever, no, Do not do that.
Ever.
Be on time at all times when
100%.
it comes to that. But when it comes to like networking events and all that, nah, you don't need to show up on time.
Yeah.
Nah.
Nah, like a party.
Yeah,
no, I get it.
No,
Yeah.
nope. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, come on, if we're talking about people with status, you know, if we're talking about like people with a lot of money or like those kinds of places where they're the head honcho and they're like people are waiting on them, they're not gonna show up on time.
No, yeah.
But
Which I also have to be like a person of having like ultimate pay. Oh my God, you just triggered me, dog. Lord have mercy, dog. Oh man, bro. If there's one thing that you, as a host that you need to like really understand, like you're on other people's time, and you got to just be like okay with them being tardy, man.
Let it go.
Like, and just let it go, man, because it's hard, man. It's hard because when you set up something and it's like, you know, you have a dinner for like 10 p.m. and then, you know,
show
you
up at
have a
like
certain-
11:30.
Oh, Lord, oh man, but the thing is too is like they pay you for your. First of all, people don't pay me for my time; they pay me for the result.
Right, exactly.
So let me change that up. But like, you know, the result of me, the quality of the result that I'm giving them is actually predicated on them being on time or not.
Right.
But some of these guys, man, you know, and you know what? If I was worth 100 million, 500 million, I would not give a damn. I wouldn't care anyway.
That-
Like, yo, like,
it's
you know what I'm
different.
saying? Yeah.
It's different at that
Yeah,
point
it's
because
different. It's a different ball game.
because I'm sure maybe in a business setting at their company,
Yes.
they're
No,
militant.
they're not messing
Yeah.
around. But when it comes to stuff like what I do for them, no chance.
Yeah.
No chance that they are. And it's like you got to swallow it. You got to be able to be okay with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And go
I'm
with the
paying
punches.
you, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and then that's another thing too. Like, you know, dealing with these elite people, like you have to be like really like kind of like a chameleon and like just like really go with the flow.
go with the flow.
Like it's a balance between going with the flow and being very strict with time, because I don't even know how to explain it, but like wealthy people love being put in their place.
Interesting.
Like a little bit.
Elaborate a little bit on that.
Perfect example.
Okay.
Right now it's WMC. Whenever this comes out, it's gonna be way after, right?
Right.
I had a client.
No,
that-
we're live, but yeah.
Oh, it's live. Oh, wow. Okay, good. So, well, so I probably shouldn't tell. I probably shouldn't tell the story. I'll tell another story. So, I had this one client that wanted like, you know, it was like a $30,000 package, everything. Like I'm talking about security guard, me with them 24/7, hosts, hostesses. We had transportation, limo sprinters, and everything, right?
Right.
And they it got to the point where like, you know, they were trying to derail from the itinerary, right?
Right.
And I had to put my foot down. I was like, nah, man, like we're doing this. Like this is what it is. It's like you got to really feel like these people, because it's like, you know, some of them, most of the time, sometimes you can't really, and I'm talking about like talking to them like crazy, whatever, but
Right.
like really, really like talk to them where they respect you, you know? So what I do is when it comes to these people, like I don't ask. I tell them and then I ask for forgiveness later.
There you go.
I'm not like, oh my God, Montana, please, hey, can we do this at this time? Whatever. No, bro, this is what it is. This is what the price
this is what we're
and
doing.
boom, boom. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Because that's how they operate. And that's how actually that they got successful as well too. So if they can align with that mentality of me having, and they understand that that's how I can be successful and that's
100%.
how they are successful, they immediately respect you.
That makes sense to me because
And it's not about being disrespectful. It's being assertive and being like stoic
right.
and just being on point with it. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense to me because if you're an elite and you have all this money, you can literally do whatever you want. So you need people to kind of like, no.
They pay people to basically tell them what to do.
Yeah.
You know? So guess what? I'm the same boat as well too.
Yeah.
You know? Now me being 6'11", 340, you know what I'm saying? It kind of maybe, you know, helps a little bit.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. You know? So yeah, it's you got to have that
Interesting.
balance. Yeah, bro. So it's not like what has really taught me over the last decade with my line of work is that I'm not afraid of any of these wealthy people. I'm really not. You know, some people, like, you know, especially if they haven't been around these
They're
type of wealthy people,
intimidated,
they're
yeah.
intimidated. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? It's like kind of like not being, you know, ever next to a tall guy. Oh my God, I've never seen this guy tall before.
Right.
At first, oh yes, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to lose a client, this and that,
Yeah.
I don't want to piss him off. You know, maybe he'll try to get somebody to come after me and all that. I do not care. Like, I had to literally grow the cojones to basically stand on my feet and really go at bat when it comes to price objections, itinerary objections as well too. Things that, you know, like, I know for a fact that they are hiring me because I'm the best at what I do and I can guide them the best, but they always think that they know the best.
Right.
And then be able to respectfully but sternly tell them, hey, this is where we need to go.
I couldn't have said it better.
You know?
So you actually answered one of my questions.
Okay, cool.
Which, because I was gonna ask a few questions.
Sure.
The first one was, what's something people don't really know, like that rich people like? So you answered it. So they like being directed.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They do. Like they like being directed without knowing that they're being directed.
Fair enough.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, the biggest balance with, like, what I do is, like, being in control while they are feeling as if they're in control.
Gotcha.
Slight manipulation, but, you know.
Puppet master.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. You know, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. So there are 3 things that people want, I feel. Not just wealthy people, but I think everybody wants this, right? It's an acronym that I call TMA. It's called time, money, and attention.
Okay.
So time is something that obviously is the most valuable thing. That's why it's number 1. People literally pay millions of dollars to save time, to do things for other people to do things that they don't have to do it, right? So that's the reason why, like, a lot of corporate clients, a lot of, like, people hire us, because we are really good at planning out, organizing, and alleviating stresses that they don't want to deal with.
Right.
One of the biggest things as far as alleviating stress is not only with itineraries, but also transportation. Transportation is huge in the world, where if you can find somebody that can actually delegate and be able to quarterback and get these, these transportation, like, you know, these SUVs, to be able to, like, you know, work properly on a schedule, they'll pay buku money.
Right.
You know, like, I had a client 2 years ago in Bitcoin conference, and I'll tell you the client afterwards, but they basically needed 15 SUVs for Bitcoin conference.
Jeez. Okay.
From a 5-day sprint.
Right.
For about 30 people.
Okay.
It's probably one of the craziest logistical jobs I've ever done in my life.
15 SUVs.
15 SUVs, just quarterbacking.
That's pretty wild.
Yes, bro. Like, you know, and everything needed to be on time. Everything, you know, there's things that
I've only seen that when, like, politicians come into town, how they have all those black SUVs.
Yeah, definitely. No. It was so, like, it was a 24/7, you know,
job. Yeah.
job. Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah, bro. So, you know, it's so they have time for that. So money is actually very important too, because not only, like, you know, obviously, like, with our company, what we do, like, you know, people spend money, but we don't have people spend money recklessly, if that makes sense. For us, you know, we have a great reputation with, you know, Bishop Executive Services. We have a great reputation since I've been in nightlife for over a decade, that, like, I'm not going to try to, I guess, put wool over your eyes and try to make an extra 5K, you know, because that's just living in scarcity, not necessarily living in abundance.
Right.
We always live in abundance. So making sure that the priority is to, yes, they spend money, but not spend money recklessly, and then we're able to guide them. That's one thing. And then the third thing is attention. People love attention. So it's like, if I have a client that loves to, I don't know, go to live or go to, like, Faina at friggin' at living room, or just that special attention to detail for them, they'll go, like, the extra mile, and, you know, they don't mind spending that money.
Right.
So it's TMA, yeah.
That's
and that's applicable to anything, any business.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
any line
100%.
of business that you're in. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. I mean, if you think about the amount of, like, the elite wealthy, right? They have a driver, they have a chauffeur, they have a maid, they have a landscaping guy. They literally have a job for every single thing in their home, in their business. They don't do any. The only thing they focus on is if they're a business owner, building the business, CEO status, that kind of stuff. Like the high level conversations that allow them to work on the business but not in the business.
Yeah.
And then everything else, you know, they got a nanny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're literally, ultimately you want to make a ton of money to buy back time. 100%.
And buy back time and just do things that you just like offset things that you necessarily don't want to do. You don't want to think. Like for instance, like for me on a lower level, for me, like, I have a trainer. Like the only thing so I work out at Boxer like 6 times a week. The only thing that I want to be worried about is literally walk in, do them exercises, suffer, and then leave.
And walk out, yeah.
I do not want to worry about what exercise. And this is very interesting too, because this is how you know, like a lot of elite people, they would love to just not think and just go into the flow.
And do it. Yeah.
Because I went to school for sports and fitness. If I really wanted to, I don't need a freaking trainer.
Right.
I know all the things, but why do I hire my trainer? Shout out to Ron's Body. I train him so he can do all the thinking for me, so I don't have to worry about it, and then be able to just focus on the workout, 100%. And then that's it. So I do have I have a client of mine. He probably spends close to maybe $1.2 million a year just on himself.
So we're talking like personal trainer,
executive assistant, personal assistant. Because there's the difference between executive assistant and personal assistant. A lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
Executive assistant is more so for like your business, and personal just for like, you know, your day-to-day stuff.
Day-to-day stuff.
A family coach. So he has a full-time family coach that basically is like a family therapist for his family.
Okay.
Driver. And chef. I think he has a couple other things as well, and like recovery things he does. Yeah, he spends about $1 million a year on him. And
that's why I bet that guy's life is like way up here.
Yeah,
look at how much money he's willing to invest in himself.
The dude makes $45 and $50 million a year revenue. So
think about it. 1 million of that's what, 20% of his income? No. Not I'm sorry, 5%. 5%.
Yeah,
that's 5% of his income. So this is good. This is really good for everybody watching. How much money do you, like what percentage, not how much, not the dollar amount, what percentage of your income do you invest in yourself? Because this super wealthy guy he's talking about invests 5% of his income, which obviously 5% is a lot. It's $1 million. But do you even invest like 1%? If you make $50,000 a year, you know what I mean? Like, do you invest $1,000 a year in yourself? That's 5% of your income.
Another thing too is that people think that, oh man, I gotta have all this money to like do that, but you really, really don't. You can do it like at the microcosm of what he does.
100%.
You know, like listen, like I'm not like, not yet at least. I'm not a wealthy person. You know, I do well for myself, but like, I probably, on me alone, I probably spend maybe $30,000 to $40,000 a year on just me.
And that pays dividends. Whether it's your physical health, whether it's your knowledge, right? Getting mentors, learning things, whether it's investing in your business, expanding your business, marketing, hiring salespeople, whatever it is, you have to invest in you. If you don't invest in you, nothing grows. Everything grows at your capacity. So if you invest in you and you grow, everything grows around you.
And I also do think that if you're able to serve the 1%, you're able to serve the 99%.
100%.
So let's talk about the people who actually run this world. Let's talk about, you know,
that 99%.
The 99%, right? Real quick, right? So you believe that, oh, I don't have $30,000 to spend, I only make $40,000 or maybe even $50,000 a year. Okay, great. How many times a day, how many times a week do you go out? How many times a week do you go out to friggin' and I love Chipotle. Love Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually going to have a burger after this. But how many times a week do you spend on BS?
100%.
So like, you mind if I pull my phone out real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
It's like when I break things down to people that like I mentor to and everything, like their minds are like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So look at this. So let's just say that a bowl of Chipotle is $16, right?
Sounds
And
about right.
and they do, let's say humbly, 3 times a week.
Okay.
So 16 times 3, that's $48. Times 4, that's $192. So you mean to tell me that 192 right there, right? So you mean to tell me that you're spending $192 just on that alone, but you can't take half of that and go to a friggin' a gym and pay a monthly? Like, yo, get out of here.
Exactly. I had, man, you reminded me of a story that's pretty wild. So I'm eating dinner at Doc B's in Coral Gables. I'm with a friend of mine, me and 2 of my buddies. And one of a guy next to us, he overhears us and he starts talking to us. And he's a banker. He had just finished his shift across the street at the bank and he came to eat dinner. So we're talking, and he's like, man, like this lady, I was offering her, I used to work in life insurance, and I was offering her this policy, this whole life insurance policy. I don't know what any of that means, but life insurance, right? So the guy was like, the premium was $15 a month, and the lady had the face to sit there and tell me she didn't have the $15.
Yo, no.
And then no, but yo, he came back with the best rebuttal I've ever heard in my life. He's like, you got $15 a month to pay for Netflix to waste 2 hours a day of your life, and you don't have $15 a month to pay for life insurance because God forbid you die. What's gonna happen to your kids?
God forbid she dies.
Yo, I shook the man's hand. I was like, bro, if you told her that, God bless you. You're as real gets. You gotta be real with people, bro.
Yeah,
you gotta be real.
Yeah, you know.
You gotta be real.
And then also too, it's like if you don't necessarily have that mentality, this is really good. If you don't have that mentality to be able to like really put the money aside for yourself, then you're always going to be that person that's going to be worrying about spending that $192 and not be able to have it for anything else.
100%.
You're not going to be able to get to that next level, that next tax bracket, that next $100,000, then that $500,000. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, discipline is true freedom. Real freedom.
Yeah.
Like I've discovered now through my own journey and weight loss and all that stuff that
look good, by the way.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm doing heavy keto right now, 0 carbs, like hardcore. But I've discovered that discipline is true freedom because when you're like, no, I just want to do whatever I want. Well, then you're a slave to your impulses. Anytime you have any little desire, any little, oh no, let me eat this piece of chocolate. Oh, yeah. Like you'll never be able to control yourself.
Yeah.
And that's slavery.
Yeah. And then what's actually really amazing too, and like really incredible that people need to realize is that when you become an entrepreneur, right, you're trading your 9 to 5 for your 24/7.
Right.
You can afford to take that chocolate to be able to maybe spend just a little bit, of extra money when you're in 9 to 5.
Right.
You don't have that luxury when you're an entrepreneur.
100%.
Because you are literally the last line of defense. If you don't make the cash, if you don't make the bread, if I don't make money, I'm out the street.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? At least if I have a job, I don't necessarily perform as well.
Yes.
Still get my paychecks.
Still get a paycheck.
Still get a paycheck.
Exactly.
Still all good. But for me, I'm betting on myself. And also, too, not most importantly, I'm betting on myself. But also, I have people that's also depending on me for me to feed them. So your level of discipline is so way more paramount than ever before because one little misstep can actually just derail your process like that.
Right. 100%. Bishop, we've been here an hour already. I can't believe it. That's crazy.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Any other questions about the
Yeah. I'm gonna wrap up with a couple more questions.
Got it.
What is the number one thing that you like the commonality amongst all wealthy people? What do all wealthy people hate? Like, what can't they stand no matter what? What's the most common thing you've seen that none of them can like? They all hate
wasting their time.
Time is money.
Wasting their time,
bro.
Literally, like wasting their time. At the end of the day, if you're building a business and you're trying to really appeal to this 1%, guess what? They don't need you. You need them.
You need them, 100%. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. It is what it is.
Yeah.
One more.
Yes, sir.
What is a really cool story where you saw like you got rewarded or like you saw they did like a wealthy person did something really cool for you? What's like a really cool story? Like they rewarded you somehow because they were really happy with how the trip turned out or something like that. What's the coolest like experience you've had, something like that? I'm sure you've had a few.
I do have a few. There's a couple that I can't tell.
Well, just say the one.
That's the one thing about this business. Like I have secrets to the and also conversations that I have to take to the grave. But I'll say
one that you can't say.
One that I can say is that my client that I've been taking care of since 2018 referred me to my number one biggest client.
Oh wow, that's the best way to say thank you.
That is that he had literally opened the floodgates.
Yeah. That's the best.
And I'll tell you who that client is after the show. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, that's the best way to tell someone thank you. By the way,
yes.
If they own a business,
if you refer them clients,
refer them clients.
Best way to do it. Yes,
100%. 100%. All right, and last question. What's the one most common trait you've seen amongst all the elite wealthy people? What's the one thing that's been consistent no matter what in all of them?
The level of discipline. It goes back to, I mean, it's full circle at the end of the day. It really is. Like, all these gurus and all these professionals and entrepreneurs and all these mentors, whatever, honestly, they're all saying the same thing at the end of the day. Like, you just need discipline, because I do believe if you have discipline, everything else trickles down. Like the foundation of the tree, like the trunk, is discipline. And then when you have that discipline, you get all the fruits of that labor.
100%.
Yeah.
My brother, it was great having you on the show.
Man, I appreciate you.
So I always wrap up with the same questions. So there's just 3 quick ones.
Cool.
So what inspires you?
What inspires me is my people, my family. Me actually living here also inspires me as well too.
Oh, I
people who look up to me metaphorically and physically. That actually inspires me as well too, because you realize at the end of the day that what you do for a living is bigger than you. And once you realize that, that's where you get that iron blood to be able to push through.
I love that, man. Second question.
Yes, sir.
What's next for you?
Ooh, okay. So what's next for me is that I'm developing an academy.
Okay.
So I'm developing an academy where I am. So Bishop Executive Services is a play off on my actual last name. So Bishop, is one of the important pieces in chess. And it basically protects and serves and gives all the desires and needs to the king and queen. The king and queen are my clients.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm developing a academy where I am teaching people how to be the bishop in your field.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I'm doing that. And that's where where the networking presentation I'm going to be doing with Anthony Mendez at Nucleus Hub. Shout out to Anthony.
Yeah. Mendez Fitness.
And yeah, I'm going to be doing a bunch of presentations and more speaking engagements from multiple people, corporate clients.
Dope, man.
So yeah, man, doing that. And then after that, just building a concierge as well too, building my personal brand and, just providing as much value as I can to the point where people have to say yes to my services.
I love that. Making offers so good they can't say no.
Yes, sir.
I love that. And then last question, Bishop. How do you want to be remembered when you're no longer here?
Oh, wow. No, that's the last question?
Last question.
Jeez,
you got to drop the heavy one at the end. You got to drop the bomb.
I want to be remembered as a person that would give their shirt off their back to people, that is a servant to the people, that is not a person who is a gatekeeper, that loves to see people grow and see people succeed, just that. I don't really care if people love me. I don't care if they hate me. At the end of the day, I want you to respect me. And if you respect me, I've done my job. It's all good. The Kobe Bryants, the LeBron James, the Michael Jordans, all of them. A lot of people hate them. A lot of people love them. But everybody respects them.
100%.
And that's what I want.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. All righty, guys. So that's the end of our episode with the man himself, Mr. Bishop.
Only the best.
Push it to the limit. The world is yours. And if you're not chasing a dream, life is meaningless, guys. We will catch you on the next one.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags rags to riches, rags to riches. Came from rags to riches, rags to riches.